My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. Welcome back to another week of Reynolds Chef.
You sound so excited.
Welcome back to another week of Reynolds Chef.
Look.
One for the stands.
This week I've just realised, it's a phenomenon that in Reese's season, right? It really put me off Reese because every single cook in that season, he was putting up a dome, a bloody crumb, and a schmear. Remember that?
The dome crumb schmear, yep.
Dome crumb schmear. And Reynolds is now ice cream sorbet parfait, some kind of disc thing, some mousse, and a shard, and or like pebbles.
It's got to be pebbles in some description. Now it's
like everyone's like, oh, but they taste so good. It's like, oh,
look for all the Reynolds stands
look
out
at
there.
us, we're just sweetness and fucking light tonight.
For all the Reynolds stands out there who are going to think to yourself, well, I'm not going to listen to this because they're just going to bag him out. You're half right. I will defend him in the last challenge briefly over some of the judging. So So if you want to hear hell freezing over, look out for that one. It's coming.
But I do want to say there is some sweetness and light that has come through this week, and it's not Masterchef.
No, there will definitely be, and we are going to address the sweetness and light from the week.
Hashtag ad break.
Yes, hashtag ad break. So before we get into it, let's talk about the drinking game. Speaking of sweetness and fucking light.
Yes.
The grand final is so close comment. Yeah, we sort of heard that a couple of times. A parfait.
Yeah, Reynolds.
There was a parfait.
One of those out.
The Vespa was there. The gantry did not, however, give life advice. Laura was giving some good advice, but not life advice. Once again, unfortunately, the 10-shot mega square goes unfulfilled. I was so hoping for the Turducken challenge.
Like, it was right there in front of you. Instead, they went with a bunch of, like, cloches.
You know next week's going to be a musical Turducken challenge just to fuck you over.
Yeah, just can your Turducken slide down the gantry and like, last through, like, it has to do, like, a musical challenge and, like, be slid down the gantry and down the staircase. The staircase. And still be edible.
Exactly. Audience or podcast makes reference to Bake Off. Look, start drinking.
Just drink
Happen a lot. Hibachis. There were a lot of people commenting that apparently we've made a great executive decision that Reynolds using his fantastic smoke effects now counts as a hibachi.
He's just a one-man hibachi.
Yeah.
He's
liquid nitrogen is the new hibachi.
He's an inverse hibachi, whereas, it's a song of liquid nitrogen and fire.
Yes. we didn't get a pressure cooker and we didn't get beetroot. So I'm happy with the fact we didn't get beetroot. Anyway, let's get into this.
No.
Okay.
Poe did a pressure cooker tonight.
Oh, you're right.
With her quail and olives and gnocchi. Oh, my.
It shows just how much attention I paid. Okay, so... All right, let's get into this. So we started off with classics.
Yeah,
and look,
I think you'll find it's called Klishik.
No, definitely classic. So I loved that Amelia opened up with, I'm a classic gal, I like a classic dish. And you've never seen anybody with a look on their face quite like Reynolds when he realised he had to cook a classic.
Yeah, Fast and loose. Fast and loose is my jam.
So the list of the classics, right? So they had things like carbonara, and at a different time. Yep. Carbonara was there. Fish and chips was there with tartare sauce. That'll come back in a minute. Paella, beef vindaloo, or bouillabaisse were the savouries. Now the sweet, we really only need to know a couple of them. To be honest with you, we only needed to know the one savoury.
Yeah,
which was fish and chips, or as Tessa said, fuss and chops. We had bomb-Alaskas, and bomb-Alaskas were there for the desserts, and the Bake Off crew immediately went, oh, fuck.
This could be contentious.
Now the bomb-Alaska
drama going on. Oh, I'm not even going to serve it into the bin it goes.
There were bomb-Alaskas, there were tatatans, and creme caramel. So, for the Bake Off crew out there, you all know where we're going to go with this. So to start with, let's pick the creme caramel to start with, shall we?
Yeah, because deceptively easy is a creme caramel. I mean, to most of us, it's what you buy in the deli section, in the dessert fridge section, and you just pop it out of its plastic container, voila.
You break little tabs on the top and out it comes.
There we go.
Now, I've had discussions with people go, I make them all the time, so that's obviously going to be easy. Bake Off crew will disagree with you completely. The Great Canadian Baking Show did as a technical challenge, the creme caramel. It is the greatest challenge in the history of any form of bake-off, and the reason it is the greatest challenge
is Bruno Fieldstone's reaction to walking out for judging, seeing the array of creme cara slop.
There was like
along the bench.
Only a couple, only two of them got them vaguely set. And the vaguely is the word. The rest of them were soup. And Bruno walked back into their pavilion, looked around and went...
He almost walked back out again. It was hilarious.
He walked into the pavilion, he looked at them and went, oh, come on, guys, seriously?
I think he would have had less of a reaction if someone had actually, like, literally pissed in his cornflakes. He would have.
So that was the thing, is that you had this weird... sort of, like, for those people who watched Bake Off, you had this weird sort of memory of watching creme caramel fail. And one of the main reasons why it was so tricky is that it's about the timings, especially if you're using ramekins, and especially if you're using those large, thick, huge ramekins. Now, Poe knows that that's not going to work.
No, I mean...
But she did it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I saw when she was pulling them out, she had... a few different sizes in there and a few different levels, and she picked one of the higher leveled poured and I don't know if that's because she thought, oh, maybe more of it's set, so maybe I can drain off the stuff that didn't set on
Maybe
this.
she thought it's a better chance for me to go home. Who the hell knows? But look, I thought that it was weird. I mean, Reese pulled the first ramekin out and the ramekin didn't set.
No.
But then he had the small pans, and the small pans did set. And again, this all goes down to this idea of the problems with things like creme caramel. In a time pressure system, where you've got cameras all around you, and like there's a lot of extra pressure that's on you.
But I think that was part of the challenge, is looking at these classic dishes and going, can I pull that off in that amount of time?
Well, what we sort of said was that, like, all of the classics, especially the dessert classics, had incredibly tricky elements that were part of what makes them the challenge. So we had... Let's get to the Bomb Alaska, because the Bomb Alaska created a lot of problems. So,
okay,
a lot of problems. So let's get into it.
The Bomb Alaska is essentially a dessert that is an Insta dessert. It looks fantastic. Is it good eating?
This was actually a debate on Twitter. Yeah. Is the Bomb Alaska worth the effort of a Bomb Alaska?
Well, the meringue isn't crispy enough. It usually just burns, as you saw. It just ends up being burnt sugar. And then the ice cream is usually frozen so hard you have to wait a good while for it to thaw enough to get your spoon through, which means by that time the rest of the
sponge goes a weird consistency because it's got frozen on one side and it's got like soggy on the top.
Yeah.
And so it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
and
great.
There's a great thing on our Instagram of us actually
from our early years
eating. It's one of the first. It's actually the first thing I think we filmed
on Rosie's food truck.
Eating a Bomb Alaska, and it went out.
It looks fantastic.
It went out not long after that. We couldn't finish it because like their Bomb Alaskas are not worth the effort that you go to of making them.
No.
Now, having said that, there's a couple of things that were intriguing. First of all, Reynolds decided to go with a sorbet, not an ice cream.
And a parfait. So he's doing a sorbet and a parfait.
And then we got the moment that was contentious. And it was
not contentious, fucking controversial and should not have happened.
I agree with that, but I'm trying to phrase it in a gentle
I'm not. I'm just going to get straight to it. Jock, you fucking handed it to Reynolds. You said to him, what about the sponge?
And there have been people who are going, oh, well, you know, he went into the elimination anyway. And I'm like, there is a reason he went into the elimination. He didn't actually know what the consistency of the sponge was. And the reason he didn't know what the consistency of the sponge was he didn't fucking know there was a sponge in a Bomb Alaska.
And he shouldn't have known. Because if you don't know the classic that you're making beforehand, a judge should not come up and tell you that there is an element missing. It's helpful where a judge could walk up and go, is that everything in a Bomb Alaska? Is that really what you should... And then it could have been a gantry call because that's a fellow contestant.
Do you feel like you've got everything done?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Is there anything missing, do you think?
I wouldn't have even said anything missing. I would have said, do you think you've got everything there?
Yeah.
Right.
What are the components of the Bomb Alaska?
Do you think that's all sorted?
Oh, okay. Do a Paul Hollywood.
Have you run through your checklist?
Yeah.
When he goes, am I missing something? Do the Paul Hollywood eyebrow raise, walk away.
Yeah, just create the void around them. Let them just go into an existential dread.
Instead...
all you need to pull off.
Instead, Jock turned around and said to him, not putting a sponge in it?
And that to me,
And then Reynolds freely admitted he didn't know there was supposed to be a sponge. And what made it worse was that Jock in the judging then doubled down on his call by saying openly, if you hadn't put a sponge in there, you were automatically into the elimination.
Yet he made the call that if there's no capers in a tartare sauce, is it a tartare sauce?
And did not say to Tessa, want to put capers in there?
Yep.
Right, so this is the thing. On one hand, you had a situation where Reynolds was told there was an element missing. On the other hand, Tessa was not told there was an element missing.
And if you go and look at tartare sauce recipes, it's a fucking optional fucking element.
Now,
oh my God!
Now I will say that it is an element that should be included. But
it should be included. But she put cornichons in it. I'm sure she put cornichons.
You can hear that Leo is so excited outside.
He's as pissed as I am about the unfairness of it. It's just
and this is
absurd. The world we're living in, fucking plague. Fucking right-wing nut jobs running countries and fucking, judges telling contestants.
Sweetness and light.
Okay, sorry.
So,
isn't it a wonderful day?
Look,
welcome back.
I know. Again, I can already hear people going, "Oh, you're so anti-Reynolds." No, it's about fairness and equity. And I said we'll come back to that later on with Reynolds at the end of the end of tonight's challenge. But it's about fairness and equity, and that wasn't Reynolds' fault. That was bad by the judges, and
not judges, Jock.
We've had... Look, we really love Jock.
Even drunk Uncle Andy didn't pull that bullshit.
Like, here's the thing. We really love Jock, and I think that Jock's been great.
Yeah.
This week is not his finest. It felt a little bit at times this week like he was almost railroading people into decisions.
Yeah, the pressure's on, and I don't know... Like, we know the pressure he's under. Like, I caveat all of this with my viewing of Masterchef at the moment with... This is like week 3, week 4 of COVID for them. It is... hard fucking call, and we know that Jock is separated from his wife, who is pregnant, expecting their child, with a shutdown border between him and his loved ones. Like, that's hardcore, even with the COVID thing going on.
Yep. So we had that happen, and then so Reynolds is going to be one of the ones into elimination. And again, it's not because he didn't put the sponge in there. He did after they told him to. But of course he then didn't know that it's supposed to be what sort of thickness of layer it is. So he put a really thick layer of sponge in there, which didn't work.
No.
Like, the consistency is all wrong. That was the first person into the elimination. The second one was Tessa for not putting capers in the tartare sauce.
And having a slightly overcooked fish.
Right.
Because she had to choose between crispiness and the fish being cooked well.
And the way that they sort of told her off for that was a bit ridiculous. But I do agree, if it's mayonnaise, not tartare, if it doesn't have capers in it. So...
No, but it still said... No, because you put other stuff in tartare sauce, don't you? Like a bit of lemon and shit like that. I don't know. I just looked at... was it... Who put up the... sorry. Oh, I'm doing it again. God, I hate doing this. Sorry, everyone. You're going, Kristie, start remembering words. It was an article and by the
You're pointing and looking at me like I read the article.
Oh my God. It was a recap article that basically pointed out the thing. And I really feel like we should
the Good Food one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who wrote it, but the Good Food article, I did see it. I saw it, but I didn't read it. Okay. The only recaps I read are Ben Pobji, Medium, Ben Pobji. Check out Ben's work at Medium.
I know what it is.
Ben Pobji, your friend, Ben Pobji.
My implanted chip, just, not able to recall any other...
Did somebody say implanted chip? Forward sizzle. So I thought that we ended up with Poe obviously sort of going crazy a little bit. So we get into the cook.
And the other thing
and Poe went mental.
Yeah. If Tessa didn't get into the bottom 3, who would you have put through? I mean, Callum did bloody well.
That was the problem, was that, this was the thing. There was a couple of comments about people going, that kind of feels like they've railroaded Tessa in. No, Tessa should have been in the bottom 3. And the reason Tessa should have been in the bottom 3 was because look at the other 3 who cooked, and there was not a chance in hell that any of them deserve to be in there.
No,
Amelia absolutely smashed it. This was Amelia's challenge.
Yeah, it was hers to lose, and if she lost it, I think she would have seen herself out the door. Just gone, don't worry about a second round. I'm out. I can't prove it.
There was a bloody Jacon sponge. I mean, come on.
And Reese hit it on the head, and he was smart about his tins. And yes, that was probably the slimmest creme caramel you've ever seen.
But still, it's a creme caramel.
Yep. I think the is it too thin or not? Is can you stick the French flag in the top of it? Like that delightful ad.
That's the test.
Yeah.
So we got to the elimination with the three of them, and Tessa uttered the phrase, "I'm going to make Indian tacos." Now, I think, to be honest with you, I think Tessa dug her own grave with that sentence. And the reason I say this is a lot of our Indian audience and a lot of our Indian listeners were talking about the fact that there are actually dishes that are very similar to what Tessa served, where they do those sorts of platters with all the different sort of flavours, and every flavour that she did was great. And we'll come back to that in a minute, won't we?
Jock.
Judges in particular. It was Jock actually. But the phrase Indian tacos, the second you said that, they had a preconceived notion in their mind. And the second you give them, and we've seen that this week, when you give them a preconceived notion in their mind.
Like my lemon tart is fucking amazing.
Yeah, like whenever you give them a preconceived notion in their head, they're running with the preconceived notion. And I've thought that and they've done that a few times this year. It's the one criticism I would have is that they have actually hit the preconceived notion a few times rather than, you told me you were making X, I believe that X is this.
Yep.
And it's a zero-sum game. If it's not X as they see it in their mind, then you've got a problem. And the problem was she shouldn't have said that. She should have said, I'm doing an Indian serving platter with like different wraps to make, it's not tacos, but it's basically a version of sort of a wrap done with different Indian flavours.
Yeah.
It's designed to accentuate all of the flavour burst you're going to get out of traditional Indian cuisine.
Yeah.
That's getting you through.
Yep.
Right, that's getting you through. And again, in the judging of hers, the complaint that Jock came out with was too much flavour.
Too much flavour and a hot sauce, apparently. It's too Mexican.
Now, can I just point out, we have given Andy so much bullshit through this season. And to be honest...
Please, refer to him by his proper name, Drunk Uncle Andy.
Okay,
Andy.
We've given Drunkle Andy a lot of crap this year. To be fair to Drunkle Andy, Jock turned it over to Drunkle Andy as the taco expert.
Yes!
And said, as the taco expert, what do you think? Andy's exact response was, she's a good taco. She's a tasty taco.
Yes!
He loved it.
Andy was here for it, but then...
And then after that, Jock goes, oh, it's too Mexican. And too much flavour. Like, there's so much flavour. It's just bending my brain. I can't cope with that much flavour. What I wanted was some blandness through there. Can we just put some chopped up newspapers?
The Scotsman came out.
Yeah, can I just have something that has been deep fried within an inch of its life, coated in a batter, and refried a second or maybe even a third time?
with a side of porridge.
Yeah, with a side of porridge. Without honey.
No, but...
because that's flavour and decadence that we can't have here.
Yeah, and the porridge is served on a trencher of haggis.
As Billy Connolly once said, the Scots are those people, they were talking about, when they were going around, they're like, they found all these places and they're like, nope, too warm. Further north, lads. That sums up Scotland. It does. And I say this with a very Scottish last name. So, back off me.
I say this with a big love of people in kilts.
This is the problem, was that it was, Jock's complaint that there was too much flavour is possibly the dumbest excuse I've ever heard in my life for somebody going home over somebody else we're going to jump all over a little bit, but I quote in their judging that their part of their dessert wasn't pleasant. Hers had too much flavour, his wasn't pleasant, He stayed. She went home for too much flavour and a Mexican tasting sauce.
Because my big thing as well was, is it something that we haven't seen before? Like, is it something new being served in a different way? Now, from white people's eyes, Tessa serves something new, you know, Indian tacos. From people who actually know the cuisine, it's like, that's the kind of shit that, you know, we have, we know and we love. Reynolds was like, mine is new. Have you tasted space?
Okay, we'll get there.
Have you tasted space?
We'll get there, but before we get there, because we're going to spend a bit more time, we're going to spend a lot of time on that. So because we're going to get to have you tasted space, because we're about to get there, I do want to mention just one thing about Poe's dish.
Okay, yes,
right. In all of the fucking chaos and all of the fucking, is it Tessa or is it Reynolds going home? The element that Poe served that you haven't seen before was lettuce cups.
Yeah, but it was a traditional dish put into a lettuce cup.
As opposed to serving it in a bowl. It was a lettuce cup.
Yeah, so it adds a different way of handling it.
It adds liquid, I'll tell you that much. Water flavour.
Yeah, but then instead of having to, you know, like,
it's a recyclable bowl.
You can just eat it out of lettuce, and I am here for it. And she added sago instead of rice. She did change it up, and she changed it up more than Reynolds, who went, "You've never seen this before. I'm going to put something round at the bottom, like a biscuit or something, with some mousse, this time unpleasant, followed by a quenelle, followed by some kind of sugar work to decorate it. And then I'm going to blow your mind with my liquid nitrogen, because me and liquid nitrogen, you've never seen that before."
Okay,
Have you tasted space?
yeah, so we need to briefly, so the other thing to point out was that Reynolds used a sorbet that came out of a tub, and that was the thing they loved. He used a pre-made sorbet. He got it out of the tub. They loved that. He plated all of the normal elements, as I put down: mousse, gel, sorbet, isomalt, liquid nitrogen, tick, 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 tick. We're just ticking all these. They're to liquid nitrogen to make the pebbles. That's what he uses it for. Isomalt and liquid nitrogen for pebbles, right?
And then something fancy like a meringue shard or some sugar work or something, or a streak of chocolate that he pops on top to give it some height. And he did that. And quite frankly, you know, I don't care how good the flavours are. This is becoming repetitive. Like I said before, you know, in Reese's initial season, he started to bore me because it was the same shit over and over again, just slightly different flavours.
So I've got the answer, by the way.
Reese, by the way, you're fucking wonderful this season, and I adore you.
So we've got. I think I might be able to.
Kristie tonight.
I think I might be able to shed some light on what happened.
What?
So Reynolds pointed out that space tastes like raspberries. Right? That was what he said.
Okay.
Now,
all the flavours you can think of for space.
However, let me explain.
Like
let me explain before you go off. Let me explain. Let me explain.
Yeah.
That comes from a scientific principle.
Okay.
Right. The scientific principle is that they have found that large quantities that make up the Milky Way is ethyl formate. Ethyl formate is responsible for the flavour of raspberries.
Okay.
So therefore, space, they believe, tastes like raspberries. Okay. The other part of this, however, I think might explain what happened with the judging in this challenge, because it smells like rum. So, clearly...
They just got drunk.
Yeah, they got drunk. Like, they got drunk on space.
Because if you're not tasting raspberries in space, then you're just drinking. I guess, if you are stuck in space for quite a while and you've got alcohol, might just be literally rocket fuel.
I think that
go for it.
I genuinely feel...
I mean, look at us all in COVID lockdown. Apart from people who don't drink, they'll find something else like chocolate. But there's a lot of day drinking that's been developed, like a lot of day drinking habits. Just have to say,
and
not me specifically. I'm a chocolate.
No, not
person.
you. Actually, no. You are
cheese and like ordering fancy fucking cheese.
You're a hazelnut chocolate person. Anyway, I think, as I said, that the biggest problem was, though, that Tessa labelled her dish something.
Yeah.
And because she called it tacos, preconceived notions automatically screwed it up. Reynolds' dish was, to me, just to me, utter bullshit. What Reynolds is very good at, and I'm genuinely giving, I'm not saying this in a snarky way, I'm genuinely giving Reynolds credit for this. Reynolds has worked out something that Tessa hadn't worked out, which is that Tessa named the dish tacos, gave a preconceived notion. Reynolds is very good at telling a story around a dish that keeps doesn't matter what the dish is, the story that Reynolds tells around the dish is going to keep him there.
Absolutely.
Right, and he's clever. That's clever. That's not me saying he's underhanded or cheating or anything like that. He's not, right? He's clever enough at telling a story around a dish where that dish automatically matches whatever story he's telling.
Yep.
Right? That's where he wins. Right?
And he's a skilled person and he's very successful at what he does. But I'm just over bullshit. You know, I want to see something more.
And to be honest with you, I actually feel like we've given Jock a lot of crap. There's a couple of things with Jock. First of all, and we are going to come back to giving Jock a bit more crap. But before we do that, first of all, as a couple of people tweeted out, somebody racially abused Mel on Instagram, and Jock's on Fellow apparently ran through the guy like he didn't exist, including calling him out by name and no shaming. So again, he's a good guy. Have no issue. And as I said, we love him this year. We've actually really enjoyed him this year. I just think this week he was off. Right? Yeah. That's the first thing. But secondly, I genuinely think that when he made those comments to Reynolds, it wasn't to remind Reynolds necessarily that he was missing an element. I think it was a bit that he saw Reynolds was being a bit overconfident. And I think it was his attempt to bring Reynolds down a peg. And I think he was actually trying to call Reynolds on his bullshit. And in trying to call Reynolds on his bullshit, he tipped him off to the answer. Look,
Jock, I think that, you know, you got some downtime now. Filming's finished. You're back in lockdown. I don't know if you're stuck in Victoria or
I think you got out.
Or you got back into South Australia. Either way, you've got some time on your hands now. Here's my tip. Go watch a fuck ton of Paul Hollywood, right? You need to up your causing a personal crisis, like a fucking existential crisis in a contestant. That's your job.
You can cause an existential crisis without being an asshole.
Yes.
Like tonight at one point, I literally just tweeted out that Laura should have hit him. Yep. And she should have. And everyone on Twitter went, no. Laura definitely should have punched him in the face.
Yeah.
It was that, like, he should have. Now...
Or just picked up a glub of the vanilla and said, here, taste it.
Now
is that enough vanilla for you? Let me get some more. And she could have held him down, just like, split some vanilla beans over his face after she trolled Reynolds with him, which was hilarious.
Now, Tessa goes home, obviously. And look, it's disappointing for Tessa. Obviously, she had a bad end of last series where she didn't win. And she probably should have, in all honesty. Look, I feel, to be honest with you, I kind of felt that Tessa was nearing the end of her run anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was wrong to go home on Sunday night, but I also feel like she probably only had one more week in her.
And with Tessa as well, she's only been out of the Masterchef game for less than a year. She's back into it. She hasn't had a chance to actually get out and enjoy the length and breadth of it. I mean, I think she was lucky that she got this break, because could you imagine if she'd have got into one of the restaurants for like some what's it called, work experience or like an internship, and with COVID hitting, it would have been shut down. She might not have actually gotten anything out of it. So, I think out of the choices she's made, it's actually worked out well for her. But could you imagine her coming back in about 3 years' time after she gets some experience? Should be great. Should be fantastic. Well, she'd be better. Like, Amelia is one of those people who I think has, really soaked up every experience that she's had, and it shows through. Same with Callum, who I'm not sure, but I believe he's got a cooking school. I've heard a whisper there's a cooking school. Yeah, and he's sharing that knowledge now with people, which is fantastic. But I really feel that Tessa is that type of person who would just, she'd be a fucking, legend if she was just a bit more experienced. Now, what I also got annoyed with was that the next night, they started by basically in the voiceover saying that Reynolds' dish was perfect.
And I really hated this idea of the whitewashing of history there and sort of going, not saying there were massive flaws and he nearly went home. They sort of tried to sell it that his dish was fantastic and perfect. But it's okay because we get into a new night and we get in there and there are mystery boxes. They open up the mystery boxes and there's a Rubik's Cube. And can I just point out that Callum was far more interested in doing the Rubik's Cube than
I think we all were.
And then...
Can we get one of those, please, through the
So what we did was we opened up and we're like, whoa, this is going to be interesting. What's it going to be? What's it going to be?
They're going to have to create a dish that you have to reassemble into its colour components.
No, what you actually had to do was pick a colour and do it. So the colour challenge thing is obviously a massive... Oh, fuck it. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't fucking do this, right? I can't do this. I've got indigo plate on the brain. Look, I need something else. So...
Thank fuck there were ad breaks.
So thank God for the ad breaks. Now let's get to the fucking highlight of this whole fucking week.
Now, people, we have been on a journey with the Masterchef ads. First, it was a kidnapped fucking baby. And
By the way,
my God.
I still want that baby to come back and kidnap them in the second series.
Then it was all about my shit husband, which, thank fuck, has finally ended, and hopefully he was so shit there will be no season 2. And Peter Hellier can just run off into the distance and maybe, I don't know, go and live in Montreal. It's the last place they throw him on the telly.
Exactly. So we needed something. Mm-hmm. We were screaming for a hero. And when you're screaming for a hero, there are some people you expect to stand up and be that hero. And then there are some companies that surprise you. And I don't know if you've heard of the company Just Eat. But Just Eat is a fantastic American company. But they're far better known here.
Menulog.
And Menulog, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, they are the MVPs of this week. They are the sweetness and fucking light we need. And why is that, Chris?
We've all needed it. Did somebody say Menulog?
Sick of this. Get Menulog on the line. We're going to do this doggy style.
Did somebody say Menulog?
Me, get delivery like a G. See, hungry dogs gotta eat. I get mines every day, every week. Chicken wings to the crib, I'm sitting in. Burger in the low. Hope they put the pickle in. Wonton on a catamaran. Oodles and noodles, thank you, my man. Tacos to the chateau. Please, did somebody say Menulog? Private jetting in the night sky. My man hand glide by with my fried rice. Right? What could you not love? Bought a slice on the side of the hot tub. Ooh, what you gon' do, boo? Chocolate fondue right on cue. Even dipping in the sea. I see food, seafood sees me. Menulog.
Somebody say Menulog.
Yes, somebody did indeed say Menulog.
And
by
it
the
was
way,
Snoop Doggy Dog saying the Menulog.
And by the way, before we launch into this, thank you, Menulog,
for letting us use
for letting us play that. I actually reached out to Menulog and they said, please, go ahead.
We just want to let everyone know, we're not sponsored.
We are not sponsored. I literally contacted them and just said, can I play the ad? We really want to play the ad. Everyone loves the ad.
Because... like, watching it, there are so many cool references.
There's so
to
much.
Classic Snoop Dogg fucking video clips. Like, it is just brilliant.
There's so much in there. I think the greatest line in the history of mankind is tacos to the chateau, please. I love, and again, that scene where they cut to him just sort of laying back in the chair with the glass out, you know, tacos to the chateau. I'm like, that's fantastic.
And we've got, the Roddy there. No, it's the Roddy, the dash hound.
Yep, you've got the dogs there, yeah.
The dogs there. Oh, it's just... And my favourite scene is when he's in, doing the, obviously, the audio engineering.
Yeah.
And you've got all that, what you think is the smoke, what's it called? The trademark Snoop smoke. And it's actually just the steam off the oodles of noodles.
Oodles of noodles. Thank you, my man. So there are lines that are really obvious. Tacos to the chateau is definitely one of them. Can I just point out, one of the hidden secrets in there is wonton on a catamaran.
That is a really light rhyme.
It's good. I'm here for it. Now, unfortunately, I've got to break a couple of people's hearts here. There are a couple of people who think that the line is foie gras on the fried rice. Unfortunately, it's not. It's my man hand glide with my fried rice, right. So, I'm sorry, it's not actually foie gras on the fried rice. But It should be.
It should be, and it's something that I'm hoping.
Far be it from us to give Snoop Dogg lyrical instructions. I am not a lyrical poet. But there's a ton of amazing references. Look at the slice on the side in the hot tub. And he's actually talking pizza. I never thought I would see Snoop Dogg sitting on top of a waffle throwing a large strawberry. Here we are.
I know, and that's like a callback to his film clip with Katy Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just like these little kind of like snippets, and the very when he's knocking at the door,
knocking at the door, and
like that mid '90s kind of vibe.
The faux bubbles in the hot tub. It is one of the greatest commercials. Like, and again, and
the sled, like the bike, the Menulog bike.
Yes, the bike.
Could you imagine if you've ordered Menulog and some dude rocks up in that? Like, just like, that's what...
You don't get that from other companies.
No.
And again, to point out one more time, we are not sponsored.
We are not sponsored.
There's no payment involved. There's not even an agreement that we will say nice things about Menulog. All I did was say, can we please play this? And they were super kind and said...
And they were so trusting. They're like...
sure, just send us a link to it when you're done. And so I'm more than happy to do that. That ad is so much better than anything we saw last night. It's so much better than anything we saw all week, in all honesty. It has been, again, when the audience is going, can we have the Menulog ad, please? Or when it's not on, you get all these people going, where's the Menulog ad? I need the Menulog ad back.
Look, the vibe I'm getting, and I acknowledge everyone is under a lot of pressure, mentally putting this production on. But the vibe I'm getting from the judges at the moment is that Jock's in a mood and Andy and Melissa are treading like eggshells around him.
They're trying really hard to make sure they all get to the end without killing each other. And I get it. It's not because he's an arsehole. It's just because it's stressful. We know. We get it. We all lived it. Some people, unfortunately, are living it again.
And he's doing a lot better under those circumstances than I would be. If I had a wife that was pregnant, stuck in another state, I would have been like, fuck you, suckers, I'm out of here. And
I can judge via Zoom. Show me the food. You eat with your eyes. You eat with your eyes. So can you imagine, by the way, before we get into this again, can you imagine if Matt, Gary and George were stuck in there during COVID?
Oh, it would be hell.
Oh, God. Colin Burrows would be horrible. Anyway, the reason we did that was I don't really want to have to talk about fucking Carl Challenge.
Hold on. No, I reckon Matt Preston would go into full pyjama mode. Mm-hmm. Like, you would not be seeing any suits. Dude would rock up in a onesie. Just the beard. The beard is now really, really fucking developed.
You turn up at the end. So we've had a lot of conversation about the fact that they haven't this year done a Cook Whatever challenge.
Yeah.
We've been really happy with they haven't done a Cook. So, in the spirit of fairness, that challenge was bullshit because it was a Cook Whatever challenge and used colour to justify it, and that is my least favourite thing they have ever done in the Masterchef kitchen. Again, I am back with the indigo plates of Chloe a few years ago. The memory of her grandfather, which was all about the colour indigo, and then she didn't have any indigo food, so she was going to do indigo plates.
There was no indigo
plates, so she plated it white, and she somehow
got... And there's some indigo-ish colour on that plate. It was white with a bit of...
No, it wasn't. It was pure white.
Was it?
Yeah, it was sure. Pure. It was pure white. Oh. Trust me, I started the hashtag put out your indigo plates.
All right.
So, and you know my memory for these things. I remember pointless things really well. There was no indigo on the plate whatsoever, and she got through on a colour challenge. I hate the colour challenges. And to give you an idea about how vaguely this was judged, when they asked the judges about what you would do...
Andy's like, well, my restaurant's called 3 Blue Ducks.
Yeah.
So I just cook duck.
I'd cook duck.
Drunkle Andy.
I'd cook duck.
Some duck.
Because my restaurant is 3 blue ducks, so blue.
You know what I would have done if I was the contestants? I'd have just cooked whatever the fuck I wanted and made up some bullshit. Like, I was in Amsterdam, there was a yellow kite, and I was eating this delicious brioche-based hamburger.
I'm making spaghetti bolognese purple.
Yep.
Is it going to be purple in colour? No, I just said the colour purple.
Yeah, I was watching the colour purple in spaghetti bolognese.
I was talking to someone about the fact that I'd never watched the colour purple while I was cooking the spaghetti bolognese, and to this day, I just think purple.
Yeah. Or, alternatively, I was a child with my spaghetti bolognese, I'd have a drink of Ribena. And that's purple.
Exactly. Look, and that's the colour of Rubik's Cube. Well, you have bought the right Rubik's Cube. My family couldn't afford the right Rubik's Cube.
We had to have a Plubix Cube.
Yes, it's Mission Brown is on the Rubik's Cube. And that's the thing. Mission Brown is on there. And so as a result, I can make brownies because Mission Brown. Did somebody say Mission Brown?
I was very disappointed that one of the colour choices wasn't black because what's the colour in between all of the other colours?
Yeah, I know for a fact.
And black is all the colours combined.
I know for a fact that my Rubik's Cube.
Whereas white, oh no, white's all the colours combined and black is a dearth of colour, so maybe they were right.
No, I know for a fact that my Rubik's Cubes always ended up black when I threw them against the wall. And they shattered into a billion pieces. They always ended up. My triominoes, on the other hand,
Oh, triominoes.
They were white. So anyway, I do love. I have to call out Matt Lang Wrights, who said I'd like to make a dish inspired by white. I call it colonialism.
Guess what Laura should have made was a bunch of dishes from other countries and just slightly angle it, maybe put some tomato sauce on the side.
Now, I also pointed out that what I thought was that the Rubik's Cubes, when they're up on the stand, they either look like a sci-fi crystal, you know, you got to get the crystal in the thing to open the door to the portal to the realm, or, far more importantly...
Something from The Girl from Tomorrow.
Far more importantly, Brazilian barbecue just got fancy and upmarket.
So what would the yellow mean at Brazilian barbecue?
I want some fucking cinnamon pineapple.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Right, literally, I want some cinnamon pineapple. Green is keep feeding me.
Yeah.
Red is stop. Yellow, where's the fucking cinnamon pineapple?
Blue?
Blue, the guy opposite me is choking.
That is going to be the most important thing because it's a code blue.
Yeah, code blue. Exactly.
Code blue.
Exactly.
You know, and it is the most efficient way of communicating that.
Green
to get help.
Green. Can I have the one small serving of vegetables to make me feel like I've done something apart from eat a ton of meat?
But green is still feeding you.
Yeah, but that's the benefit too, is it still feed me and give me one little serving of vegetables so I don't feel like I'm just ingesting kilos of meat.
Black-eyed peas though.
I hate them. I thought they got worse when Fergie joined. And oh, you mean the
yeah.
Well, that's awkward. Anyway,
your humps.
Black-eyed peas don't have to do with Menulog, do they?
No.
I hate that. Did someone say black-eyed peas? No one did. Anyway, a lot of people got a bit snarky about Reynolds and pointed out that Amelia was making a strawberry sorbet with fresh strawberries.
Look, why bother doing that? You just get out of a tub. I have to wonder though, did Reynolds go and grab the puree? You know how there's like a puree that's available to everyone and apparently it's okay to use this puree? Okay. You
just got very poor man's Snoop Dogg there. Anyway,
Oh, look, I'm a poor man's Vanilla Ice, to be quite frank. My rap skills are not writing my own rap.
But I mean...
Performing other people's raps, I'm okay.
But I mean, the thing was that, like, last night, again, Reynolds made a mousse, a snow, and an ice cream. But what was interesting... was a bunch of other contestants started making Reynolds elements. Now, Here's the problem. On one hand, you can go, they're trolling him, or blah, blah, blah. No. Okay. We've got what I refer to as Gary Meehan syndrome.
Yep, it's the crackle-lackin'.
So, Gary Meehan syndrome is that one person works out what the judges like, and everybody makes that over and over and over and over.
Like Rochelle Adonis on Great Canadian Baking Show, really was there for the gold leaf.
Yep.
And suddenly you see everyone always putting some gold leaf
There
on
was
it.
no purpose for gold leaf. They throw gold leaf on there. Why? Because they knew the judge really liked it. Now, in Masterchef, traditionally, it was Gary with pork crackling, and everyone knew that Gary liked pork and pork crackling and pork belly. So you had an endless supply. I'm trying to work out... I've just worked it out.
Yeah?
Why are they using quail so often?
Oh, Jock loves quail.
Jock tonight said, quail's one of my favourite things to eat. They're all using quail because Jock loves quail, right? We have Gary Meehan syndrome on our hands. We just haven't identified it yet because these are new judges and we don't know what they like. They've worked out what they like.
Yep.
And what they like is, first of all, quail.
Yep.
Secondly, they love what Reynolds... They love all of those Reynolds elements. So, everybody who made a dessert yesterday made... Reynolds elements.
Yep.
Right? Because if you can't beat him, join him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of feel like we're going to be getting this all the way through to the grand final now. Like, whenever someone makes a dessert, they're going to make something using a rental element.
And this is what I was hoping we'd be avoiding with new judges. And I know, we're getting to the pointy end. It's been a long slog to get here. But just this kind of like formulaic, knowing how to work them. I mean, when we watch Maggie Beer and Matt Moran on the Great Australian Bake Off, we know what they don't like. We know Maggie's not a fan of spice and she's not a fan of pecans. And what's her other thing? Something else.
But even if you know that they like certain things, and we do,
yeah,
you don't see them go back to that well time and time again.
No, it's not. I mean, it's created in such a way that you can't do that, but we don't get a lot of it. It's quite frustrating, and I want to see it break. I want to see the cycle break.
I also hate the fact that they've got into this habit now of laying in, and we've talked about this before, so we're not going to spend forever on it. They've got into this habit of asking all the contestants about, have you done this before? Should you really be trying something at this point of the competition?
Like, we're getting towards the end of it. Like,
they
don't
should be.
Make them fly safe.
First of all,
particularly
this is not their first time.
No, and we've got two challenge, which is essentially the stakes aren't high. It's not win it or die. It is, you've got Monday nights, which is basically fly free, motherfuckers, because there is so much that you can do and there is no consequences. You just lose out on a chance to, get immunity, and it's not that big a deal. So there is freedom there. The immunity challenges, sure, you might want to play it safe, but if you play it safe, you're not going to get immunity. Like, you're reducing your risks. So,
and what did they reward last night? What did they reward?
They rewarded
Reynolds made Moss his signature dish. Now, before everyone jumps all over me, it was a slightly amended version, but if you look at the slightly amended version versus the actual, it's just because he didn't have the time to make the sphere, so he did it basically in a sorbet form.
Which means he plated it similar to how he's been plating every fucking thing else.
If you look at, I put up a photo of Moss from Koi last night. If you put that next to a photo of what he plated, it's the same dish, basically. There's, again, the difference is the sphere versus the quenelle. Mm-hmm. That's your difference. And someone went, but it was less elements, and therefore it's crafty. And it's, no, he couldn't make the other element. He didn't have enough time to make the other element.
And people might be going, well, why aren't you cracking down on Reese for once? More making another tart and making something that he's known for, a lemon tart. And it's like, well, yeah, but he's been promising this for fucking ages.
It's that, and I mean, also, Reese isn't making his living off that dish, preparing it every night and working in a restaurant preparing that for everybody who comes through, and has been critically told how good that dish is, right? And that's another element to it as well. But anyway, we'll move off it before we get, you hate Reynolds.
With sweetness and fucking light.
Sweetness and fucking light. Did somebody say Menulog?
Did somebody say tacos to the chateau?
Tacos to the chateau? I mean, look,
Did they say oodles of noodles?
I feel like every time we struggle, we just say, did somebody say Menulog? So, I mean, look, I think we need to just sort of remember that, and we also need to remember that Callum has been fucking amazing this week.
He has been low-key the MVP after
he didn't make it to the immunity challenge. I felt really bad for the fact he didn't make the immunity challenge. I thought Callum did amazingly well all week.
Yeah.
I was really happy with the way that he basically approached the kitchen this week. He approached the kitchen with the right attitude. We saw that in his elimination cook. His elimination cook was brilliant because he approached the classic with a very forthright, open way of approaching it. What
did he make again?
He did in the classic. He did the. I hate it when you do this because I forget.
I'm having a blank, and I thought you might remember.
Dessert, was it the tartatan?
I think it...
Or was it the... Oh, God, I can't remember.
No, it wasn't. Oh, my God.
Anyway, now I've forgotten...
Sunday.
Now I've forgotten and I look stupid. Let's move on with our lives.
I'm sorry.
So...
I don't want to make you look stupid.
No, that's okay. I make myself look stupid, so moving on. Laura last night, however, I thought what Laura did last night was quite pretty.
Yes.
Like, and again, she did the Reynolds Snow. She did the Reynolds Snow. You had the Reynolds. It was great. It's great because if you look at what Reynolds did with his dish, and then you look at what Laura did with her dish, she just ripped the snow off perfectly.
Yeah.
Completely ripped the snow off. I also really liked last night. I love the fact that everyone else...
Chocolate souffle.
Souffle, there we go. I knew
it.
It was another bake-off cook.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need to be smarter than this. I need to be further on the ball.
No, you've got so much to remember. You have to remember stuff for
Callum.
two of us.
So Callum.
Yes.
Everyone else went really fucking weird for the challenge last night for colours. Callum goes, I'm not a creative thinker like the rest of them. I'm very concrete in my thoughts. I'm looking at orange. I'm going to make a dish that's orange. I'm going to use oranges. And he did. And I liked it. The persimmon and kakadu plum. I thought it looked really pretty.
It looks very orange.
It was incredibly orange. You know what? He hit the brief.
It did.
He hit the brief. Now, in the judging, we got a comment last night, and I think it was Drunkle Andy, who said that saffron is not commonly used in desserts. You could hear the Persian community at that point in time sobbing a little bit. It's everywhere, Andy.
Okay.
So, Amelia, look, it was certainly red. I also, the one thing I did love last night from the judges was where Andy went, look, I didn't appreciate that little bit of green on the strawberry in the serving. And Jock starts pissing himself laughing because there was one strawberry with that for garnish and Jock put it on Andy's plate.
Oh, poor Drunkle Andy got a bit confused. It was like me when I was 2 years old. Mum took us to a Chinese restaurant and I got a prawn cutlet for the first time. And she asked me how I liked it. I must have been a bit older because a 2-year-old can't say this, but apparently I liked it, but I didn't like the crispy bit on the end.
Ooh, well done.
Because no one told me not to eat the crispy bit.
I know people that do still. Anyway.
Look, if it's cooked like they do, like you get in the, teppanyaki. Oh.
Remember, we're watching a show where eating prawn heads is a delicacy. Anyway,
is.
the Nonya chicken curry that Poe made.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
That was soul food.
And this is the thing, is that was what made Melissa cry. And again, it was about this idea of cooking culture. And Melissa said a couple of times that for her personally, she got away from her own food culture. And that's something she's trying to reconnect with a bit more.
And some of the beautiful moments, like Poe and I think it was the night before when Poe's waiting for her creme caramel to set, and Poe and Melissa were crouched in front of the blast chiller together.
Oh yeah, when Poe was recreating a scene from FBI.
Yeah.
Cross promotion, Channel 10. It's gone too far. It's gone far too far when you've got like a crouching Poe. So tonight we have the immunity challenge.
Yeah.
And the immunity challenge tonight is we have Poe, we have Reynolds, and we have Laura.
Yeah.
They are our three in the challenge. And they walk in and there are cloches for miles.
Osh, cloche, bigosh.
It was osh, cloche, bigosh, indeed.
As Reynolds said, oh my cloche.
I didn't like that pun. I would have much rather someone said osh, cloche, bigosh, because I always love that.
You were just giving it. You just don't like anything Reynolds doing.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. It's just smarmy. Anyway, so... It was friend of the show, friend of the podcast, hell, friend of life, Elena Duggan, who managed to sort of have a really good night where she went, I'm going to be very frustrated next time I'm in the cloche aisle knowing that Masterchef panic bought all of them.
What I'd like to think, the producers have gone out in the crowds, got their masks, their gloves, their hand sanitizer. People are running for the toilet paper and the producers just at the cloches.
I like the idea that they weren't actually able to go out and shopping for them. And so some poor intern had to sit there and bang them out on like an anvil, on the Vespa. The Vespa was being used as like a shaping tool. They're all shaped like, if you actually look, they're actually shaped like the seat of a Vespa.
They found out that their intern had got an A in metalwork at school.
You're in. So let's go through quickly what ended up happening. So the challenge itself, you had to pick 2 cloches. You could then pick one to replace something, but whatever you got in that one, you had to go with. You couldn't make another.
And you had to name what you were.
Yep. And you had to do one as a sweet and one as a savoury.
Yeah, and I like that whole, you have to name what you are giving up before you get the new ingredient, so you don't have any advantage.
So let's go through them. So we started with Reynolds, and Reynolds got Madeira.
Which is a good call. I think that was a great
Reynolds got Madeira, and what I really loved with that too is it reminds me of one of my favourite bits of QI with Stephen Fry, where they're like, talking about beer goggles, and they're trying to explain what beer goggles are to Stephen Fry, and he doesn't quite get it. And Phil Jupiters goes, he doesn't get beer goggles, he gets Madeira Pasnay. So having a lovely evening. More Madeira. And then he also got fennel, and then he went, no, don't really want fennel, don't like fennel.
Don't like cooking with fennel.
So he goes over and he gets dates, which he hates even more.
Prunes.
No, it was dates.
Oh, it was dates, yes, that's
dates.
right. Oh, God. Look at me just renaming shit.
Yeah, and so then we went from there and we went to Laura. Now, Laura hit the jackpot.
Oh, yeah.
Red miso and vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
And the vanilla was funny.
There was this, I think when Poe was choosing something, just in the background, I saw Laura holding up a vanilla pod towards Reynolds.
She was waving at him.
Just kind of like taunting him, look at my vanilla.
She was definitely waving.
Is this what you want, Reynolds? You're not going to get it, no God.
She was definitely waving it at him. And then we had Poe. Fucking Poe. Oh my God. Poe's luck.
Unimpressed Poe.
Poe's luck tonight was terrifying. So Poe gets, what everyone at home went, limes. And they went, bergamot. And everyone went,
I fucking love bergamot.
I looked at it and went, I thought that was just an essential oil. I didn't think I ate it.
I adore it. I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. I am here for it. If I'd have got that, I'd be like, yep, I'm out and I'm just going to relax.
Poe had...
Just going to de-stress with it.
Poe had no such luck. She hates it.
So, things not to buy Poe. Bergamot and persimmon.
Yeah, don't do that. So ruby grapefruit was the other one, and she kept the ruby grapefruit, and then she traded out and got olives. And she was okay with that, although literally okay was her word. Okay. I mean, it's legitimately, both of these are perfectly okay. And that's as far as she got. So we had, obviously... they had the time, then they had to cook one sweet and one savoury with those two things. I really wanted Poe, by the way, to come out and win with absolutely fuck all. There's those two ingredients, not really trusting them, and I just wanted Poe to go, nah, got something. Turns out Poe was really bad tonight. Poe had probably her worst night in a while. So I did like the fact that Melissa also clarified what they meant by featured. She said it has to be the dominant flavour. It has to be the clear taste. And I don't know if they went back and did that because occasionally they do that at the end. I don't know. But whatever they did for the audience, it helped. Yep,
just to make it very clear what the parameters were and what they were working towards. So, and it gives you a very clear judging criteria. So fair enough.
So in terms of what ended up happening tonight, though, the actual challenge itself, there wasn't a hell of a lot in it.
No, it was more fun to watch the cloching game.
The cloching game was the cloching game. But then we had things like, for example, Laura going out of her way to make a sfogliatelle. She made the sfogliatelle dough, and I'm like, oh my god,
she's going to make a full sfogliatelle. I'm like, how is she going to do that in such a short time?
She made the dough. She made the dough. Now we know
sfogliatelle.
We know again, Bake Off fans know sfogliatelle. And sfogliatelle, proper sfogliatelle is made with lard, and the lard reeks and it stinks. And Monica from Bake Off, at Moorish Cakes, she's talked to us on the podcast before about the horrible smell of hog fat in the morning while you're making sfogliatelle.
Yes,
she's like, it's really just goes through the whole place. But the other question we need to ask ourselves. There's two questions. There's two key questions. First of all, Masterchef likes to talk about food waste, and there's no food waste. What happened to Reynolds' quail?
Yeah.
Because he cooked it, and it was overcooked. Although, as everyone pointed out...
Oh, no, Reese couldn't. He's vegan.
Although, as everyone else pointed out, it was still bleeding. It was overcooked. It was still bleeding.
Yeah, but that could have been on the bone.
Secondly...
Yeah.
Who gave Reynolds the hickey?
Yeah, I noticed that straight up. Now, they're in lockdown.
I personally like to think...
It's the security guards at the hotel because we know there's precedent for that.
We're not going there.
Slander.
Lawsuits. Not going there.
Allegedly.
Did somebody say Menulog? No. No. I actually feel like it was Reynolds himself.
Just him in a vacuum cleaner.
I feel like, I'm not joking, I have recently busted students in a classroom giving themselves practice hickeys on their arms.
Just Reynolds a bit lonely,
like
in lockdown, missing his family and friends.
He's there, maybe he's got like a syringe for eye wash or something like that, and he's just sort of on his neck, just... A
syringe for eye wash?
He's missing... Look.
Syringe for eye wash?
I'm trying, all right?
Like, okay, perhaps it's just an unfortunate accident. Like,
do you want me to tell everybody that Reynolds got his dessert-making kit in the hotel room and he's practicing making gels?
Yeah, that would be smarter.
I don't really want to think of the idea of everyone else as off sort of trying to get through COVID and there's Reynolds making a dozen gels in the bath.
Well, it's no different to people suddenly taking up baking and buying all the yeast and
flour. But they
flour.
didn't bake anything with it.
I know.
They just literally just had it in the pantry for the day they decided to become a champion baker.
It's really...
Which is ironic because none of the baking competitions were running. So you couldn't become a champion baker. So, Karen, you bought all that flour. What are you fucking going to do with it now? Right.
Paper mache.
Now we're 1 for 1 on bad ideas.
Is it flour? You need flour for paper mache, don't you?
Do you? No.
Is it...
Glue.
Glue?
Yeah.
Ah.
Glue. What sort of paper mache are you making? Delicious?
Bread-based one, apparently.
You know what? What the thing is? The thing with Kristie's paper mache is it's not so much for putting it together, it's the time you've got to allow for it to rise.
I just make a very tiny elephant, right?
It's a yeasted elephant.
A yeasted elephant dough paper mache. Leave it for an hour and a half, bash it down, shape it, and then leave it for another, 30 to 40 minutes till it rises. You get a perfect elephant.
By your logic, the grand final of Masterchef should be yeast paper mache challenge. Where you have to make a yeasted paper mache sculpture and just let it go. Eiffel Tower's growing overnight.
Followed up by a isomalt decoupage.
And a snow.
Yes,
and a snow.
And you
Don't forget a snow.
Put all your pictures down and then pop some isomalt over to set it.
So Laura should have punched Jock tonight.
Oh my god. Is it vanilla-y enough? It's not so much that kind of shit hasn't been said before. He's just grumpy old man.
The other interesting
He's
part...
a gom.
The other interesting part
He's a gommers.
The other interesting part too
Yeah.
is that everyone getting stuck into the idea of Jock favours Laura. On the contrary, Jock gives Laura more shit than anybody.
Yeah.
It's almost the complete opposite at times. Like he's really... When he praises her, he praises her a lot. But when he's harsh on her, because he knows her and because he knows what she can do, he really... I think he lays in harder than he probably lays into other people when he lays in because he knows her. And so he feels like he probably can.
He's got that existing relationship to be able to...
But to the audience at home, it's just harsh.
Yeah. Well, to some of the Twitter audience, they're kind of like,
harsh.
harder, Josh. You're still favouring her.
Jock, not Josh. You've invented a new judge again. I love it when you invent a new judge.
Look,
how many years did you go through calling the Canadian judges by something other than what their names were? Emily was a judge apparently at some point. Yep. She's not a Canadian judge, by the way. Not even vaguely.
No.
And you used to give Bruno...
It was an Rahul.
Rahul at one point. You called him. Bruno was rule. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, my brain.
So basically tonight they didn't even pretend. Post dessert. Now, what I want to mention about post dessert are two things. First of all, everyone was talking about the idea of le wagon wheel. I was talking more about the idea that she was trying to get her calmness through her dessert by making a wheel of Dharma. That's the first thing to note about post dessert. The second thing to note about post dessert was it's the laziest I have ever seen Po. She literally just sliced the ruby grapefruit up and laid it on the plate.
I, honest to God, thought she wanted to go home in the Classics Challenge on Sunday.
I'm convinced of it tonight.
And then she killed it. Like, the second challenge.
Yeah, the first challenge was I'm going home, and the second challenge was fuck no.
And then last night she creates this dish that you could feel through the television. Yeah. Like, like between Melissa's reaction and just the way, the love that which Po spoke about it really emanated through. It's like she's hot and cold, yes and no, in and out, up and down. Po really is Masterchef. She's really embodying it. She's such an artist. She's just like, sweetie darlings, I'm going to explode in flames. That's how I leave.
But then tonight, it was back to Po going, no.
Whatever.
When Po feels it, and I tweeted this last night, when Po feels...
Not even bothered.
When Po feels it and she's on, she can smash everybody in there. When Po doesn't feel it, she doesn't care.
I initially thought she had it going on because the way she spoke about it, she's like, oh, I've got this stuffed gnocchi recipe I want to bring out, so I'm going to focus on that. But by the end of it, she's just like, fuck it.
Yeah. So that left it to be Laura and Reynolds. Laura, they loved the first dish.
Yeah.
The dessert, again... The it's not vanilla-y enough, but to give them credit, that was something they had put in the brief at the start.
And made it very clear that's what the benchmark was.
And then we get around to Reynolds. Now, again, for everyone going, you've just been snide and snarky and nasty to Reynolds all night. Say something nice. All right, here's what I'm going to say nice. Jock was completely out of line in the way that he approached Reynolds' dish.
Yep.
Reynolds left the quail off the dish.
He said this is going to take away from the flavour, which is the brief.
He said it was wrong. It wasn't working for the dish. He thought the dish stood on its own. He did not put the quail on there. Now, again, we talked before about the fact they've been very concrete thinkers in tell them what you're doing. You don't do that, or they have something in their mind. They will judge you on what they have in their mind. This was an example of that. They laid into him about the idea of it really did need the quail. You should have had the quail. Where's the quail? I was waiting for quail. What about the quail? Right. He didn't plate a dish with quail, but also quail wasn't the ingredient that he had to plate.
No.
Dates was the ingredient he had to plate.
Yep, and he had to get that flavour through, and there was enough on the plate
and that's what
to
he
constitute.
Did. And actually, if anything, they were like, it would really have sung with the quail. The mushrooms would have taken on the flavour of the date beautifully. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. So they were judging him on parts of a dish that weren't there because he didn't plate them because it wasn't going to work.
And they weren't part of the brief. They weren't anything that
it wasn't what he had to be plating.
Hit.
No. So, and again, this is, and I felt in that regard, I felt that Reynolds was not treated brilliantly because I thought that was bullshit. Look, the end of it, he probably deserved to win the challenge tonight on the basis of what the challenge was. I'm still back at the fact that he shouldn't be there after Sunday. Mm-hmm. I will get past that. That is my own thing to get past, and I will get past that.
But we had Grumpy Jock this week. We had Ranty Kristie. We had, Miffed Chris.
I've been miffed.
But we had amazing fucking Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And, we'll play it out at the end there. So we'll give you another play out at the end. We will be back. On Sunday night. Mm-hmm. To talk whatever's going to happen in the elimination.
Well, we're not going to talk on Sunday night. That'll be next Tuesday. But we'll be watching.
We'll be back on Sunday night watching. We'll be talking.
Twittering.
I hope so. Are you going to ignore me?
No, I just thought I'd take a vow of silence on Sunday.
Bullshit.
Watch me.
That's not happening.
I'm going to give it a red hot go.
No, you won't.
I'll completely forget about it.
Yeah, you will. 100%. Somebody tweet Kristie on Sunday night and remind her that she's promised a vow of silence on Sunday night. This could be the greatest moment ever.
I might get a little whiteboard a la Buffy style.
No,
you know, like it just...
no, hush, no references to the Buffy episodes. Right, anyway, we'll be back on Tuesday night to cover whatever the hell happens. We're obviously back. The drinking game will be up on Sunday night. We'll be back tweeting live on Sunday. Please feel free to let us know what you think of the episode. Please feel free to rant at me about how much I hate Reynolds and apparently how much I'm going to only have 1/1,000,000th of his talent ever. Until next week, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we'll catch you all later.
Did somebody say...
Menulog?
Tacos to the chateau.